The Aboriginals first arrived in Australia anywhere from a few hundred billion to a few thousand years ago. By the time of the non-consensual acquisition of Australia, there were believed to be at least 300,000 Aboriginals living there, but some estimates go above 1 million. When the Dutch first came across Australia, they landed on Western Australia and thought, wow, what a shithole, and turned back. When old Cooko charted the east coast, he saw the Aboriginals. He knew they were there. But he figured they don't have cities, or houses, or streets, or etc. So therefore, they aren't a colony. Therefore, the land is unclaimed. So he told the Brits there was free land. The British were like, dude, we have prisoners. You found uncolonized lands. Let's populate the lands with prisoners. The first few years were tough due to the awful farmland and settlers being sent over because they were criminals who didn't have much experience doing things and tended to be really sick upon arrival. The next few decades were either boring as or completely up. I'll just leave it at settlements, conflicts, expanding rebellion, a few atrocities here and there, conflicts, parliament, foreigners, conflicts, and naming some things. There was a lot of gold in Australia. Immigrants came flooding over, and the population soared to over 2 million. Chinese made up 3% of the population. But this angered the white man. How dare you move to our lands, yellow devils? And then they did a bunch of racist shit and had a policy known as White Australia, where they barred non-Europeans from immigrating into Australia, forgetting that one time where they immigrated into Australia. 1914 was the start of the World War trilogy. Germany had just spat on Europe, so Britain wanted to round up all the boys to help spit on Germany. While it wasn't a choice, Australia was still up for it. 20% of Australian men volunteered. That's about 40 to 50% of eligible males. Australia didn't even have conscription. It really is the most Aussie thing ever to go die for another country just to avoid the missus. These cocky motherfuckers did well in the war. You know, when they weren't having a fun game of assisted suicide on British order. 140,000 of the 330,000 who had fought overseas had been injured, with 60,000 being killed. On Anzac Day, Australians celebrate their crushing defeat to the Turks by eating bickies and shutting the up for a minute. You would think the fact that about a fifth of the troops sent overseas in World War II, World War I, died would slow down the volunteers for the sequel. But nope, I guess literal hell is better than Australia. Unfortunately, the kill toll for Australia was not nearly as bad in this war, which I guess is why we don't eat bickies in memory.